One of the best New York Rangers prospects currently is Bryce McConnell Barker. He'll be at training camp. He's going to be going back to the OHL, though, with the Soo Greyhounds, and he's just a really solid overall two-way center prospect. Was taken in the 2022 draft in the 3rd round with the 97th overall pick. So a late 3rd rounder in the 2022 draft, and he has just been a great prospect since. I mean, this year had a big breakout year offensively. You know, he was drafted as kind of a really good two-way, kind of more of a shutdown center prospect with a really good two-way game. Kind of not an amazing offensive game, but this year we really saw that offensive game take a big step forward. And even on an absolutely terrible Soo Greyhounds team, they're one of the worst teams in the entire OHL, he still had a very good year. Had by far career year offensively and points wise. Had 68 games played, 30 goals, 47 assists for 77 points. You know, the team wasn't good, but he still played absolutely amazing. The previous year in 2021-2022 had 68 games played, so the same amount of games played, 23 goals, so 7 less goals in this year, only 26 assists, so 21 less assists, and then 49 points. So had 28 less points in the exact same amount of games played just from one year to the other. And that year before was with a much better team as well. They actually made the playoffs that year, and he had 10 games played, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. This year, they did not make the playoffs. The team was quite bad, and it wasn't really his fault. He was the captain, but there's not much he can do. I mean, this isn't basketball where you can have one guy kind of carry the team. So he had a good year. I got to watch him live in person. He played pretty good. But overall, the team wasn't great around and didn't make the playoffs. Not many teams, don't make the playoffs in the OHL. So not making the playoffs means you were an absolutely terrible team, and they were bad. But he still played great. He had a career year. They should be a lot better this year. They're expected to be a pretty solid team. Definitely expected to make playoffs this year, so that should be good for him in his development. Hopefully he can go on a nice long playoff run with the Soo Greyhounds. And I think the big thing with him, though, is seeing that huge step up in his development with the Greyhounds. I mean, having an extra 7 goals and 21 assists for 28 points in 1 year to the next is pretty insane, especially going from a pretty good team who actually made it into the 1st round, actually looked pretty solid in the Soo Greyhounds the previous year in 2021 and 2022 to go on to the next year where you're the captain. You have a bit more added pressure, and obviously the team was just way worse. To have an extra 28 points is pretty unreal. It's absolutely fantastic to see, and he is a leader. He's a pretty solid leader, great two-way player. He could potentially be one day a penalty kill 1 kind of guy. I mean, at least penalty kill 2 behind Zibanejad, obviously down the road, but that's for a few years at least until we see him in the NHL. But still, he could be a worst case scenario. Maybe he's a solid 4th line center who plays a really good two-way game, a good shutdown kind of 4th line center. That could be kind of the floor for him, and a ceiling of being a really good two-way centerman, 2nd line kind of guy, being a PK1 or PK2 kind of guy. He's a good penalty killer. He's got that two-way game, got that good shutdown game. So one day, I definitely think he could be a PK1 or at least a PK2 kind of guy. So that is good to see. 6'2", he's got the height, got the size, which is obviously nice to see. Left-handed shot, still only 19, doesn't turn 20 until June 4. So he's still a very young prospect, born in London, Ontario, Canada. He's a young prospect, already signed his entry level contract. Obviously, it's being pushed back, so it's not like eating up any years right now, so that's good to see. But this is a guy who has the potential to be a very good player, and you need these kind of two-way guys who can just be really good defensive centerman as well, by also having a good offensive game. And that's what we have in Zibanejad as well, and kind of Trocheck as well, is these two-way centers who are good in their own zone, but also good offensively. And those are the big things you want to see out of your centerman. And also having another guy who can just be another good penalty killer is definitely a plus. That's why I kind of think, minimum he could be a very good 4th line, kind of two-way shutdown centerman who can be on the PK. And also is a very good face-off taker this season. Finished with a 51.7 face-off win percentage, which is just honestly very good. I mean, that is a very good number to be at. And overall, I mean, he can win face-offs. He can play a good defensive game. He can score. He can play make. He's just an all-around great player, and this is the kind of guy who you want on your team, and hopefully he can develop into a very good second-line two-way center who wins faceoffs at a good rate, plays a good two-way game, plays good defensively, can be a PK guy, play make, score goals. maybe even be a PP2 guy or PP1 at some point as well. If he really develops his offensive game, that is definitely a possibility. And if I had to project out some numbers here, if he does play for Team Canada at the World Juniors, though, he's not going to be able to play the full 68 games played. But if he does play the full 68, let's say, I think he could definitely he had 30 goals last year. I think he could get like 33, something around there, goals this year again. So an extra 3 goals and an extra maybe 5 or 6, 7 assists. That is definitely a realistic possibility. I think he could definitely have a year of like, let's say, 33 goals and 52 assists for like 85 points. I think that is honestly a realistic possibility for him if he can take another step up in his offensive game, as well as take just another step up in his overall game, because the Soo Greyhounds will be better. They definitely should be better, and hopefully he can have another absolutely fantastic year being a very good, dominant two-way center in the OHL. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. As always, comment down below your guys' thoughts on Bryce McConnell Barker. Thanks for watching, and see ya.